This is the first thing here. Boris Johnson posting on Twitter, "I've arrived in Cornwall for this year's G7, where I'll be asking the fellow leaders to rise to the challenge of beating the pandemic and building back better, fairer and greener." And if you scroll down, you can see him arriving by plane in a country where he could have got the train, but all right.
Yeah,
do the plane.
and this was an easy win for all of the leftists who hate the Conservatives. That he flew to Cornwall
for a greener future.
Yeah, for a greener future.
I mean, I don't give a toss about any of this stuff, but not great optics. Also, the "build back better" phrase there, routinely used. So.
Yeah, the Davos dog whistle.
Anyway, this was the memes coming out of all this. So if we go to the next one, this is just Lawrence Fox posting a meme of Joe Biden giving Boris Johnson the sniff, which I'm sure he's being careful to avoid. So if we go to the next one, this is just the "build back better" slogan being used again. So at the G7 summits, Britain will work alongside our kindred democracies to #build back better.
Just to be clear, right? This "build back better" phrase, you can see it everywhere in a bunch of world leaders who I guess you could just describe as globalists. I mean, if you go to buildbackbetter.com, it's a Joe Biden campaign website. So this is very clearly part of some kind of international organization.
It's like an international phrase that's being used. Anyway, we go to the next one. This is just a similar thing here. "It's a pleasure to welcome you to Cornwall, Mr. President. Together we are going to build back better from this pandemic, help vaccinate the world, and make 2021 a decisive moment in the fight against climate change." Then the next one is using the phrase again. "Together we will #build back better" with a picture of him and Biden, I don't know, arm bumping? I don't even know what you call it.
Elbow bumping?
Yeah. Regardless of all the other stuff, cringe. Just cringe, stop using this phrase.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Theresa May and "strong and stable," which was just a complete mistake. There's nothing inspiring about it. There's nothing that makes me want to believe in it. I mean, "get Brexit done," that's a good phrase, because it's like, right, get me elected and I'll do that. And you've done that.
At least it was straightforward.
But "build back better," I mean, it's sort of like saying the country's broken and now we're going to fix it. It was like, well, who broke it then as well? You're the ones who have been in charge. And you're the ones who did the lockdown. So, I'd avoid that if I were them, but...
Well, it looks like they're trying to ingratiate themselves into this order that's being created above us, across the entire world.
But anyway. So there's some more cringe.
Joe Biden turned up in a love jacket, which is really cringe. Obviously, this is in 2018, Melania Trump turned up in a jacket that read "I don't care" on the back. It was
I thought you were going to say she turned up with a jacket that just said "hate."
I mean, no, she turned up with a jacket that said "indifference," basically.
Okay.
But but it's again just cringe, just a jacket with love on, and all of the sort of people, I guess we'll call them the media leftists, were just like, "Oh, isn't this inspiring?" It's like, no, it's totally empty and totally hollow, just like everything else about Biden's presidency. But the thing is, she posted a picture of herself on Twitter, preparing. If we can see the picture, John, this prepping for the G7. It's like, what? Who elected you? The answer is nobody.
Is she reading up on all the other ladies?
I don't know. What? Yeah, exactly. What's Carrie's favorite kind of dress or something? I mean, what is she doing there? What official capacity does she have? And this has made a lot of people obviously speculate. Well, is she the one kind of being the president? And the answer is no. It's obviously Kamala. But the point is. The reason this matters is because there have been reports from people, credible people, from the inside, that Jack Posobiec has tweeted out, who've basically said that Joe Biden seems to kind of be out to lunch. Can we get the next one up, John? So this is comments from a Labour Party member, apparently, saying at least Trump was attentive is the general consensus among the Labour Party right now. This is also new to him, hard for him to keep up with everything. Note cards have been completely useless. You don't even want to know what the Tory leadership is saying. Now, I mean, these are like unnamed officials that, take it with a pinch of salt, as all of these unnamed official leaks are. But there's generally a grain of truth to all of them because the staffers working on the inside can't really keep their mouths shut.
Every other time Biden goes anywhere, you get the same kind of sentiment, which is this guy's a duttering, useless old man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not surprised if it would be the case.
Yeah, and so no wonder Jill Biden has to do so much preparation because the leader of the free world is permanently out to lunch. And we even know where he's out to lunch because the people who would be reporting on this are getting kicked off their tables. Sorry, John, I had to put this in because this is all quite breaking stuff. But the Daily Mail reported that 2 BBC journalists were actually booted off their dinner table to make way for Biden and Jill.
based.
I know, right? It's like, so you can't sit here. Why? Well, we've decided that Joe Biden's going to sit here. What? But we had this table. That's not my problem.
We're from the BBC. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. North American editor John Sopel and news gathering producer Morgan Minard lost their seats at the place in Cornwall that they're staying. And the next thing as well is like in complete alignment with the idiocy and hypocrisy of flying to Cornwall to go complain about climate change. A bunch of trees were cleared from around the area to build a new venue for the summit. Very environmentally friendly, hacking down trees so that you can all take planes from across the world and spend all this time polluting just to agree that polluting is bad.
Like, couldn't have done a Zoom call.
Couldn't have done a Zoom call, had to be in person. But yeah,
It is the thing. I don't really give a toss about the climate change debate, but it's so infuriating to hear these kind of people lecture you on it.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't want to be lectured on it by these sorts of people, even though you're right, I don't care either, to be honest. But yeah, the funniest bit about this though was Mount Trashmore.
What?
They call it Mount Recyclemore. A massive.
That's a pathetic PR right there.
It is a massive sculpture of the faces in the Mount Rushmore style, made out of rubbish. All of this rubbish.
Is this like Greenpeace activism making fun of everyone there?
Not making fun. It's an endorsement. This was made opposite the G7, so they'll all be able to see this very attractive sculpture of Angela Merkel made out of rubbish, as well as one of Johnson and Macron and all of the other world leaders there. Which, I mean, I would have, if I'd had the initiative, done this as an insult.
Yeah, like, that's why I thought it was Greenpeace activism. Like, you guys are trash, or
there's
loads of trash.
Exactly. Hey, you guys are absolute garbage, and I've made a giant sculpture that you're going to have to look at while you're here to prove it. But no, this is apparently complimentary. I mean, the Merkel one just looks hideous, and the Macron one isn't exactly flattering, is it? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Ooh. But anyway, the whole point of I mean, it's so disgusting, isn't it? And what's going to happen to all of this when they leave? Like, is it going to be cleaned up properly, or is it just going to be left there to fester?
It's going to be made like a memorial or something. No one can touch the trash, isn't it?
Exactly. Look, we've got just the ugliest thing in the world. It looks openly disrespectful. Just saying. Anyway, so the whole point of this really is because Biden is pushing a global tax plan that he wants the entire world to abide by. So they want a global minimum corporation tax of at least 15%. And update the international tax laws for globalized digital economy. So basically, they are creating the one world tax system.
Hang on, what? Global minimum tax? So I assume this isn't going to be payable to anyone. It'll be we should all agree the minimum should be 15.
Yeah, and so what this is to make sure of is, of course, so Britain, say, can't undercut the European Union by saying, well, we'll set us 10% or something like that. So companies are more encouraged to come to us. I'm not even saying it's necessarily a bad idea. I just really hate the people doing it.
No, I think it's a bad idea. Like, I really love the idea that you can have countries all competing with each other down to 0% in tax.
Yeah, I mean...
Sure, you get places like Guernsey or whatever that do that, but I'm not pro-tax in general anyway.
Well, yeah, generally I'm anti-tax. And moreover, I'm kind of free market. So if there are lots of competing countries and they have their own different sort of tax plans, that's a diversity of things, and I'm pro-diversity, famously. And the point is, it allows things to be different in other places. This is just like the homogenization of the world in order to impose Joe Biden's view on things. And I just kind of hate it. But it's not like it's Joe Biden who's the author of all of this. This will have come from Davos, and it's part of the giant juggernaut that's taking over the world. But yeah, so it's basically that. I don't want to go into it too much. It's actually really, really boring. But the Biden's administration has described this as a foreign policy for the middle class, which I find suspect.
How does that help the middle class?
I don't know.
Tax.
I don't know.
Taxing the middle class helps the middle class. Man, he really is big brain, isn't he?
Well, I mean, he doesn't explain it because he doesn't have to, because there's absolutely no one who's going to hold him to account for any of this. But basically, it would end the practice of global corporations seeking out low-tax jurisdictions like Ireland, the British Virgin Islands, to move their headquarters to, even though their customers, operations, and executives are located elsewhere. And the thing is, like I said, I'm not even against this. Like, I don't even think that's a bad idea. I just really don't trust the people who are enacting it. So...
I don't even know why you have to do. I don't understand tax law, so don't come in some expert on this. But I don't know why you can't just rewrite the law to be that we will take the corporation tax on your earnings within this country rather than wherever your goddamn headquarters is.
Surely. I don't know. I'm sure that someone will be able to fill us in on that. But yeah, so the G7 countries are presumably going to adopt this proposal. And like all of the reporting I saw on it was like, yeah, this is going to happen, which it undoubtedly is. You don't go to all of this great effort to bring everyone to Cornwall, impose yourselves on the poor people of St Ives. And I've been to St Ives. It's not a big place. I used to live in Cornwall, and it's a nice place. And I saw that they were, shutting down a bunch of roads and, loads of roadblocks and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh God, these poor people are just like living their lives. It's like, by the way, the international power elite have come here to just occupy your not even a city, it's a town for like a week or something. So get used to not being able to do any of the things you normally do. Suck it. Also, we're building a giant mountain of trash and we're cutting down all these trees and we don't want to hear from you. So be quiet.
Like, isn't this why we developed London? Exactly for these kinds of meetings? So then we don't have to deal with it.
But London is ugly as sin.
Yeah, it is.
Don't want to take people to London. It's gross.
Biden might get stabbed as well. So,
well, no, I don't think Joe Biden's going to be the victim of a stabbing in London. But yeah, so once they adopt this, they're going to propose it to the G20 nations, which include China, India, Brazil, and Russia.
Which will sign up to it and then ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. Who will give it lip service and then do what the hell they like. But yeah, so the details have yet to be hammered out. And obviously some of the other countries keep their corporate tax rates low to encourage business across, but it's probably going to pass. But Rishi Sunak is trying to carve out an exemption for the City of London, and I imagine this is going to be not just for the City of London, but this is like the major holding point because, of course, the City of London plays by different rules to the rest of the UK because they're special, I guess. But, of course, this is to protect Britain's position as a global financial hub in light in the as a corollary of Brexit, basically. How are we going to outcompete the Europeans? Well, we're going to lower our taxes, which makes sense. It's very competitive.
You can't do that.
Why not? Exactly. You can't do that because that means that Europe isn't very competitive. Well, you said it, not me. But this is the point. Obviously, he's going to be pushing hard for this. Whether he gets it or not, who knows? But this seems to be what the major issue is. Of course, there is another issue. That's the Irish question.
Oh, I thought it'd be the French.
No, actually, no. Nothing about the French has come up yet, as far as I'm aware, although I'm sure it will, after Macron recovers from his slap. Honestly, I would have been more annoyed about it. If I were Macron, you've got to at least try and strike back. Doesn't matter even if it's a weedy punch or you miss or something like that, but just like fainting like a woman, it's like, no, you got to John Prescott it, Macron. You got to. I bet his ratings went down as well after that. But yeah, so... Joe Biden accuses Boris Johnson of inflaming tensions over Northern Ireland because of Brexit. Joe Biden, a famous hater of Britain and a publicly Irish person, politically Irish person, should I say?
I love the idea of being a publicly Irish person. Keep it to yourself. Be Irish in your bedrooms.
Yeah.
Stand by it.
Yeah, I disavow. I'm obviously just kidding. But yeah, so this has been something that is going to flare up more, doubtless, because Biden ever since Brexit, he's been waffling on about Ireland like anyone cares. But Boris has come out and said that the UK-US relationship is indestructible, which, is it, though? I mean, I don't want the US-UK relationship, next one, John, to break up, but like, I kind of hate who's in charge of the US at the moment. And it just strikes me that if I'm not going to go further. We'll just get in trouble if I go down that road. Right, so yeah, anyway, he claims to have had terrific talks with Biden, which is surprising. I'm surprised Biden wasn't just like, a Britisher. But yeah, no, apparently it all went fine. Biden keeps whining about Northern Ireland, but hopefully Boris holds the line on that one. And so, yeah, that was about it, apart from what was it Theresa May said that was remarkably based?
Yeah, Theresa May gave a speech earlier this morning that was unbelievably based. I don't know if she's been listening to the podcast or what, but the next thing here is just Richard Tice coming out and endorsing Theresa May on this, which...
Wow. Richard Tice, one of the founders of the Brexit Party.
Yeah, so rarely do I agree with Theresa May, but on this, she is right. Global Britain is closed for business as we fail to take advantage of our vaccine success due to the government's deliberately moving goalposts. So the government here keeps deciding that, now we can't open up because this reason, and then this reason, and then that reason, and it's pathetic.
The models don't permit it. Oh, God, can we consult the auspices again? We'll open up the lamb's liver and be like, oh, God, what do the models say now? No, the models say no. You have to delay for another month or whatever it is.
So here's the link if you want to go and watch the whole thing, but I've cut it down a little bit just so we can get to the meat. So if we go to the first clip, let's play this.
Indeed, what we have is a devastated industry, jobs lost, and global Britain shut for business. More than not being any further forward, we've gone backwards. We now have over 50% of the adult population vaccinated, a wonderful programme, yet we're more restricted on travel than we were last year. Last year, in 2020, I went to Switzerland in August, South Korea in September. There was no vaccine, travel was possible. This year, there is a vaccine, travel is not possible. I really don't understand the stance the government is taking. Of course, it is permissible to travel to countries on the amber list, provided it's practicable for you to quarantine when you come back. But government ministers tell people that they mustn't travel. They can't go on holiday to places on the amber list. The messaging is mixed and the system chaotic. Portugal was put on the green list, people went to the football, then Portugal was put on the amber list. We will not eradicate COVID-19 from the UK. There will not be a time when we can say that there will never be another case of COVID-19 in this country. Secondly, variants will keep on coming. There will be new variants every year. If the government's position is that we cannot open up travel until there are no new variants elsewhere in the world, then we will never be able to travel abroad ever again. And the third fact that the government needs to state much more clearly is that sadly people will die from COVID here in the UK in the future, as 10 to 20,000 people do every year from flu. It's incomprehensible, I think, that one of the most heavily vaccinated countries in the world is one that is most reluctant to give its citizens the freedoms those vaccinations should support.
Theresa May just answered with memento mori.
Yeah, literally. Like, get lost about like, oh yeah, but some people might die. People die every day. That's not an argument. But 20,000 people, as she points out, die every year from flu. Yeah. Therefore, if your argument is if people are dying from COVID, we can never open up, then no, we can never open up because 20,000 people die from flu. But also, if your other argument, as she mentioned about moving the goalposts all the times, is that, oh no, but there's a new variant, the Delta variant, the Indian
There will
variant.
always be new variants.
There will be a South Korean variant and a goddamn Chinese variant, another one and some other nonsense. This is never going to end if that's your position. And this needs to stop. Although I'm in no delusions about this, because she mentions that, I was able to go on holiday to, what was it, Austria and South Korea.
Switzerland or
so in my mind, I'm sort of thinking, like, maybe she's just looking at going on holiday and she's like, damn.
Well,
right,
maybe, but that's good enough for me. I'll take it. Let's go. But base Theresa May.
I'll side with her. Yeah, I'd like to go abroad sometime in the future, 1,000 years as well. So,
very, very good. Well done, Theresa.
Yeah, good Theresa May. So, base Theresa May, cringe Johnson, which wasn't
strange turnaround. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.